I believe that existence itself is a contradiction to Tawhid. Because Muslims they'll say, how can Jesus be God and human? You can't have a square in a circle. You can't have a square circle, right? They'll use that as an argument. Yeah, they'll say you can't have a square circle. Those are things that are mutually exclusive here. You can't use that. So I'm going to reverse that argument back onto them and say this. Okay, God actively created a creation in which he created a square and he created a circle. A square circle can't exist. There's either a square or there's a circle. Again, in a higher dimensional state, it could exist, but not here. So my point by saying this is this. Existence itself is the answer to the omnipotence paradox, because God actively created a creation in which he cannot do something, similar to God creating a stone he can't lift. That means that God can limit himself, which means the concepts of Tawhid are disproven. Saying God cannot limit himself is now invalid, because just from this existence alone, we know God can create a creation in which he cannot do something, which means he can create something that he cannot do.
You're saying there are things that God himself can do.
That he can't do.
Yeah.
Right, and that's evident in our creation. So I'm saying that if Tawhid, one of the concepts of Tawhid, is not being able to limit his own self, just like not being able to create a stone he can't lift, then by nature, existence itself is contradictory to Tawhid, not even just God's nature. Because they'll attack God's nature and say 3 persons, 1 God doesn't make sense. But Tawhid contradicts existence itself, which is even worse, because that's the creation that we exist in, not God existing in a higher dimensional state.
Yeah, got it, man. And do you study religions or what?
Yeah, I do. I study religion.
So by your own, or you go to college, or?
No, by my own. The argument I just gave you, I made that argument because I believe that, getting arguments from other people is good. But if you can create your own arguments, that's what brings out the fruit that God has done in your heart. If God has given you a thirst for wanting to learn or thirst for knowledge or these things, and you give it your own perspective, you'll be able to produce new arguments, new things, instead of using the same recycled arguments, and it could even lead to a breakthrough. It's all the Lord Jesus. I give it all to him. I'm writing articles about the Quran in order to create new arguments for it. I'm trying to actively do things the best I can. And I haven't seen anyone frame it like that. Tawhid is more illogical than Trinity. But there's multiple instances that not only that one that I can prove it. And it flips the script, because the script of Islam is that Tawhid has this superiority to the Trinity. But it's the opposite. A lot of times, their arguments are based around, is Jesus God? Yes. Can God die? No. Ha ha, I got you. But that strips away the entire context of what we believe.